Well, hello. Looking down at the camera, looking up at the camera, looking up at the picture of myself. I don't know what's going to happen here as regards posts and so on, but hello, I'm here and I'll just play a little bit of recorder while we settle down. Right, well, not quite sure what's going on here. Hugh, hello. Good to see you, mate. I don't know how many people are going to be here tonight, possibly not that many. I have a screen in front of me full of all sorts of stuff that I really don't particularly want to see. Stream metrics, can I get rid of that? That's my options. Remove module. Yeah, good, okay, that's got rid of that. Too low frame rates per second. It's been saying this to me for months and nothing seems to happen. So, right, let's get rid of that as well if we can. Let's click the little X. Yeah, that's good, right. BB, hi, good to see you. No hat tonight. I thought I'd go with blue hair instead. Is it showing up on the screen? Yes, just blue hair. I can provide a hat if required. Reaching over straight away, I can grab a hat, not a particularly spectacular one, though I quite like this one. I think it's another great C&A purchase somewhere in Germany. Anyway, lovely to see you, BB. I hope everything's okay, and Hugh as well. I know a lot of people aren't going to be here tonight because there's an alternative stream going on to do with the Australian Pink Floyd, so that will be going on right now, in fact, somewhere else. But that's okay. I thought I would carry on anyway because I said I would. Now, what have we got? Let's get a few of the special items in to begin with. The cup, the drinking utensil for today is a Marvel Comics mug, which was a Christmas present from my friend Mary, who I don't think is here either today, but if she is, then thank you, Mary. And here it is, going out on the internet with a collage of classic 1960s Marvel Comics covers. It contains a very exciting drink of orange mixed with water, orange squash, as we call it in England. It's not Orangensaft, more a kind of like water-based orangey drink for children. and mead. Gosh, I mixed that a bit strong. Blue, I think the blue is kind of a statement as well. I think, I knew you meant funny, but yes, got to be careful using the word funny around lots of people. They'll laugh like mad. But that is a statement. Is it? Okay, well, we'll stick with that for now. I may take it off a little bit later. I don't know if anyone caught the music that I was... we've got lots of notifications. I don't know if anyone caught the music that I was playing earlier, but it relates to... this all starts off with a band called Maroon 5. Hi Phil, good to see you, I hope everything's okay. It all starts off with a band called Maroon 5, although to be honest, I'm going to start off by kind of explaining and making a few excuses in advance, because my health is not in a particularly good condition at the moment. The problem, well, I went out on my birthday, I had a great time. I had a slightly too great time. At about 1 o'clock on the next morning, I charged downstairs to make a cup of tea. Did so rather too incautiously, slipped on the stairs, crashed down the stairs to the bottom, and I kind of smashed up a portion of my left leg above the knee. The next 24 hours wasn't great. I was lying on the floor downstairs. I thought I'd broken it. It was impossible to put any weight on it at the time. And I couldn't get up the stairs. I couldn't really move anywhere. I was just inching around on the floor. Fortunately, my telephone was in my coat pocket in the front room, so I was able to inch through there, spend about half an hour trying to flip the coat off the peg, eventually successfully, and get the phone out, called for an ambulance about 3 or 4 in the morning. The ambulance, they said they'd send an ambulance out, but nothing arrived. So I either slept or passed out, I'm not sure which. Anyway, between one thing and another 7 hours passed, and I called again. And this time I received a quick response. So, what, you called in the middle of the night? How long have you been lying there? Oh, since for about 11 hours by now. We'll get someone to you as soon as possible. And about 2 hours later, an ambulance crew arrived, all very apologetic. I was saying, no, I know you're absolutely overworked, you're stressed completely, there's so many people needing ambulances. It's all right, I totally understand, don't worry about it. Despite which they had the blue light flashing to get me into the hospital and put me straight into the accident and emergency section instead of the queue at the hospital, which was good. I was immediately laying down and being asked for what kind of pain relief I would like, starting with morphine. I said, grief, I don't think it's a morphine case. And anyway, I thought I'd broken the leg, the paramedics thought I'd broken the leg, the doctor in A&E thought I'd broken the leg, and eventually they got some x-rays through, and by amazing luck, I haven't broken my leg. I've simply damaged a lot of tissue and bruised it like mad. So, basically they gave me a quick trainer course with a couple of crutches and a box of codeine pills and sent me home, and I've been here ever since, stomping around the house with a pair of crutches, which I'll just here we go, here's a pair of crutches on which I'm fairly reliant at the moment. So it's been a bit of a slow few days, working out how to get up and down the stairs, eating food stocks from the cupboard. I'll have to arrange some shopping at some point this week, and yeah, all a bit of a nuisance. On top of that, I had an attack of diarrhea. This is a wonderfully glamorous stream tonight, about an hour or so ago. So if I suddenly say, right, I'm off, pick up the crutches and disappear from the screen rather slowly, that will be because I'm in a mad rush to get to the toilet in time, which might not necessarily be that easy. Okay, that's enough of that. Anybody else here? How's the comments thing going? can't see anything on comments at all. Nobody. Have you all gone away, or has Facebook gone away? I don't know. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I've put up various prequel tracks, taster tracks on the page for the Monday streams over the last couple of days, and indeed last weekend. And this all starts, as I said earlier, with the band called Maroon 5, who've been at it for about 30 years now, and put out a hit single in 2019 called Memories. I was working my way through a file of recent pop hit singles, just checking out what was going on. My general impression is that it's all rather slow and lugubrious, and there's now a huge separation between pop music and dance music. The two don't seem to cross over much at all. And then Maroon 5 came up, and I listened to it and I thought, well, I know this music. I know this music extremely well, and so do lots of people. And then I looked at the credits, and I went, actually, when I say it's by Maroon 5, I'm being old-fashioned. It isn't by Maroon 5, Batman. It's actually credited to 10 different people, including Maroon 5, and all the separate members of the band. So that's 5 of the credits are for the band members, including the drummer, who doesn't play on the record. And the other credits are, I assume, to people who produced a bit of the record here and a bit of the record there, and the production team that did the whole thing. The MP3 tag is, I assume, the equivalent of the old label in the middle of a record. It's your sole source of information about the copyright and genesis of the record and so on. But for a single to have 11 people credited tells me that everyone's trying to get a slice of an increasingly small pie these days. But what was interesting to me is that the 11 people listed did not include the person who actually wrote the music. And in the case of the Maroon 5 single, this is quite important, because I listened to it and there's one guitarist, a singer, a keyboard player, and a bassist comes in with the bass line at one point. As far as I can tell, there are only 4 musicians involved. And 11 credits, and none of them wrote the music, because the music is Pachelbel's Canon. And the common thread between all the pieces that I put up as tasters for this thread, which were the Pet Shop Boys Go West, the Farm, All Together Now, Green Day, can't even remember the title of the song, to be perfectly honest, whatever the Green Day song was. All of these songs are based on Pachelbel's Canon, which is a particular 4-bar chord sequence which comes around to the start again at the beginning, so you get a cycle. Now this is a practice that I have noticed repeatedly in pop music in the last few years. We don't seem to have verses, choruses, middle eights and all the things that we used to have anymore. What you have is the 4-bar repeated harmonic cycle and melodic variations played or sung, mostly sung, over that cycle, whatever the cycle may be. I listen and I hear this again and again and again in pop music. It seems to underpin the majority of the works of Adele, for example, also the works of Ed Sheeran. I think of it as the return of the chaconne, because it is. It's going back. It's reviving a form that was very popular in the early Baroque era, and that's when Pachelbel's Canon was written. We don't know exactly when it was written. Pachelbel died was Johann Pachelbel, German composer, highly rated as an organist, wrote a canon and a gigue, 2 pieces of chamber music, the canon with a 4-part repeated chord sequence, followed by a jig, basically an up-tempo, cheerful dance. If anyone was here for the Kemp's 9 Days Wonder stream way back in September 2020, that was full of jigs, because jigs were particularly associated with Will Kemp, who was the subject of that stream. So, Pachelbel wrote an up-tempo canon and jig, which, like most of the music of the early Baroque, slipped into obscurity. By the 19th century, Pachelbel is a name known only to music scholars who are studying golden music. And he remained that way. You know, if you'd asked anybody in 1960 about Pachelbel, they'd have looked at you blankly. Nobody had heard of him. The revival happened in 1967 when a French music scholar and orchestra leader who was beginning to make records of early Baroque music picked up on Pachelbel's canon in D, wrote up an arrangement of it, and it slowly over time became a hit. It was released as a single, it started being picked up, it was used as film music, it got bigger and bigger, and by now it's a standard statement. It's a standard statement. I'm reading off your message here. It's a standard piece occurring on any of your relaxing classical albums, of which there are many around. It's a sort of meditative piece, very, very popular, but it's also been used as the basis for a large number of pop songs, and I'm going to have a go at one of those right now. Coming in straight away at the top of the song, you will recognise the chord sequence, hopefully, that is Pachelbel's canon. This song actually has, being 30 years old, actually has a middle eight, and a solo and a chorus. It's an old-fashioned song structure, but the verse is based on Pachelbel's chord sequence. I hope you enjoy this. Hugh is speechless, right, okay. Sorry about that. Simply the way things are. Right, okay, let me just get this up here. Oh, crikey. I had all this prepared, and then I had to shut everything down when I went off for a fit of, for a rush to the toilet. And, right, okay. I think I can find it. Yep. Here we go. Okay. Right, and here is a song based on Pachelbel's canon. And somebody's just telephoning me. Dave, I'm actually in the middle of a live stream at the moment. Yeah. All right. Okay. Or later on, 9:30's fine. Up to you. I think I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Say hi to the people. Right. Okay. Dave Gray just said hi to everybody. Right. Okay. Now, Dave is banned from Facebook, so he doesn't look at these things. That's because he's called David Gray. And they don't. Yes, he had the name before the pop star, but they don't believe he isn't pretending to be the pop star, so they won't let him have a Facebook page. Long story. Anyway, right, I'll speak to you later, Dave, or possibly tomorrow. All right. Cheers, mate. Right, okay, well, that was an interesting little moment. Gosh, that's actually, I love that, because the last time I had a telephone call during a stream was during my 65th birthday stream, which is where this whole thing started 2 years ago. So we've got another one now in the 67th birthday stream, even though it's late, and I'm damaged. Trying not to laugh here. Right, anyway, piece of music. Carry on, carry on. Let's get this up. Ten-second wait. Whoa. solo. Guitar solo face. Oh, thank you, Travis. That was "Look Back in." Don't look back in anger by Oasis. Not "Look Back in Anger" by John Osborne at all. But definitely Pachelbel's Canon. This little piece of late 17th century, perhaps early 18th century music, which was obscure until a French band leader picked it out. Then it became a hit, and since then, Pete Waterman, who was the member of the 80s production team Stock, Aitken and Waterman, who were behind the original hits by people like Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan, Pete Waterman has actually gone on record, possibly having taken some drugs first, as saying that this tune is the godfather of pop music. Which rather suggests that he doesn't believe there was anything much in the way of pop music before the 1980s, and no pop music at all before 1967, because before 1967 no one had even heard of it. So there we go, Pachelbel's Canon, which gets us to about halfway through, and a little sip from the mug. Let me just check with the screen here, because I can't see it at the moment. How are we doing? Steve, all right, mate? Good. Excellent. Right, okay, Rupert, great. Rupert, Steve, I hope you enjoyed the Oasis moment. Holding this together through quite a lot of painkillers at the moment. Rupert, I hope the COVID's not treating you too badly, and Steve, likewise. This is two guys who've just tuned in, who are basically isolating at home with the COVID. I woke up this morning with a cough and a runny nose, and generally feeling a bit rough in that direction. Instantly did a test, but nothing doing. I just pink lined, so hopefully that's all okay. Anyway, that was a little ramble that a lot of you missed about Pachelbel's Canon. Now I've got here today's Batman item. Well, I've got two Batman items. I've got the shirt, obviously, which is Batman related. It's a parody of Batman. I have got another Batman item. I don't know if I can use it, because I think it's all gone too far. Yes, I did have to get this out in advance, and it's kind of largely melted. But let's whip it out so you can see it. And this is Irresistible. I found this in a local branch of Poundland at the beginning of last week, and it is a really, really tatty Batman ice cream. Now you may say, where's Batman? Let me just turn that around a bit, and it's a bit more visible on the other side. There you go. There is something vaguely like a brown Batman symbol on a white background, and it's a chocolate and vanilla ice cream. selling in Poundland at 4 for a pound. So obviously I had to do something about it, and well, here we are. Yes, it's complete. It's melted. It's been out for about half an hour. It's going to go very quickly. I'm just going to eat the whole thing. There you go. If you inspect the stick carefully, as you can see, there's actually a Batman logo at either end of the stick. So there you go. Edible Batman item for this week. I say this week, and I'm in two minds really about it, and I'm quite inclined to call this the last of the streams, the last of the Mike's Monday streams. I started them 2 years ago because I was not able to go out for my birthday, so I thought I'd do an online birthday event. I carried on because people seemed to like it and people seemed to think it was a good idea, and also we were all locked down, we were all stuck in our houses, and there was a need for some kind of different sort of entertainment. So I kept it going, which was great. But now, time has passed. Fundamentally, we're not locked up in our houses anymore. Pretty much everybody is out and about, living life as normal around these frequent infestations of COVID, which the government insist on ignoring. And is there really a need? It was a pandemic-generated thing. I personally have absolutely no interest in video or streams or anything like that. I did this because it seemed like a good idea at the time. And by now I'm looking at it and thinking, well, it no longer really looks like a good idea. People have other things to be doing. People are getting on with their lives, and a good thing too. That's how it should be. So, as I say, I'm in two minds about it. This may very well be the last of these, and I'll just delete the page from Facebook and move on and do other things. Right, to wrap up with Pachelbel's Canon, let's have a go at, let's have a look at the comments. I'm getting a few comments through here. Oh, Wendy has, right, Hugh says that Wendy has COVID too, blimey. That's 3 people with it. Yikes, it's about the one thing I haven't got at the moment, but yeah. Oh dear. Well, I hope everyone gets over it in time. I did test positive about 5 weeks ago on a PCR test, and it basically felt like a bad cold, but it left me with a lot of fatigue. I'm still tired. I'm still not feeling fully energetic, and that's possibly the main thing to watch out for. That's what this version of COVID seems to do. It leaves you okay, but washed out and lacking in energy. And I hope you guys don't have it in any kind of serious way. I had a couple of weeks where I was finding it very hard to do anything at all. Except when I absolutely had to. It's like, I've run out of food, I need to go and get some food. It would take that sort of extremity to get me doing anything. So fingers crossed, you guys are going to manage better with it. Back to Pachelbel, Johan Pachelbel, and his extremely popular canon. I'll just throw in here that Van Dyke Parks. Van Dyke Parks is an American songwriter and producer and arranger who came up in the 1960s. He first became famous, and possibly remains most famous, for having been associated with Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys in about 1965-66, and they got together and Parks wrote some lyrics for what was supposed to be the next Beach Boys album following their classic, highly reputed set Pet Sounds. That project, Smile, as Beach Boys fans and lots of other people are aware, fell apart. It came to nothing. Fragments of it appeared on record over the years. It has eventually been reconstructed by Brian in the 21st century, but at the time it was like the collapse of the Beach Boys in a way, and a lot of blame was thrown around, and Parks, amongst other people, was blamed for introducing Brian to acid and causing him to have a nervous breakdown. True or not, who knows? Anyway, Parks carried on. Parks was all part, very closely connected with the Los Angeles music industry of the 60s. And duly turned out a record called Song Cycle, which I would say that's one of the earliest examples of what is now called Americana in rock music. People tend to cite the band's album Music from Big Pink as the beginning of that, and it was certainly a more prominent and more popular record, but Parks' Song Cycle is an extraordinary thing, a sort of delicate evocation of a nostalgic vision of, I don't know, it's like reading Scott Fitzgerald or William Faulkner novels. It captures these little fragments, meaningless little fragments of the past, and frames them up into some kind of musical structure. A lovely piece. He then, a few years later, made an album called Discover America, where he wrote a bunch of songs which were mostly accompanied by a Trinidad, a steel band from Trinidad, a kind of music in which it developed some kind of interest. He made a third album called The Clang of the Yankee Reaper, and that ended, although I'm not sure Hugh will know about this, it either ended or the single that came out contained it as a B-side, a track called Canon in D, that was credited to Johann Pachelbel. Fair play. Almost the only person to do that. Oasis didn't credit Pachelbel, the Pet Shop Boys didn't, The Farm didn't, all these other bands who used that music. Why should they? Pachelbel was 300 years dead. He's not going to turn up and make a copyright claim. Even so, it would be nice to throw in some kind of credit, and Van Dyke Parks did that. The only problem is that the piece of music that he arranged and recorded is not Pachelbel's canon. It is in fact the Lutheran hymn, written probably by Martin Luther himself, entitled Ein fester Burg ist unser Gott. A tremendous tune from, I'm going to say, probably a century and a half before Pachelbel. And not Pachelbel at all, so a wonderful piece of mistitling out there. Anybody who knows that track and thinks they're listening to a Canon in D by Pachelbel, no you're not, you're listening to a hymn by Martin Luther. To finish with all of this, as we're carrying on here, I'm going to have a go at playing an arrangement of Pachelbel's original piece. Now, nobody, as far as I'm aware, there may be a few specialist Baroque recordings that have recorded the piece as it was originally written, but almost no one does that. Jean-Francois Paillard, who recorded it and made it famous in the 1960s, varied very considerably from the original. He just took the chord sequence, slowed it down quite a lot, and wrote his own arrangements of variations over the top. And various people carried on doing this. The version I'm going to have a go at is one that was arranged by the famous flute player James Galway in the 1980s. Galway was very popular at the time. He was known as the man with the golden flute because he played a flute made of gold, and he was the principal flute player in the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra and generally regarded as the top flute player of his time. And he wrote an arrangement. Now, I'm not going to play it exactly as it is. I'm going to busk it to a certain degree because why not? Everybody else does. There is no actual definitive version of this piece to go back to, just lots of different versions. So we've got a basis here, and I will play some of it, and some of it I will just busk it as I go along. Fingers crossed. This is quite a tricky little thing. badly. That was a 70s arrangement for 3 or 4 instruments of Pachelbel's Canon, as produced by flautist James Caldwell. How are we doing here? Right, okay, I think everyone's just sitting there waiting for me to run off to the toilet with an attack of diarrhoea, possibly. Wow, okay, well, we're 42 minutes in, which is, that's got rather more out of Pachelbel than I would have thought. Time to switch to a completely different theme. Debbie, who I don't think is here tonight for the very good reason that she's got better things to do on a Monday night now than sit watching internet live streams, reminded me last weekend that it was April the 9th, 1483. April the 19th was the anniversary of the death of King Edward IV in 1483. Which leads to a very dark period in English history, because he was succeeded by his brother Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who became King Richard III, who is famous for all kinds of things, including murdering rivals, murdering the young princes in the Tower. In particular, he's regarded as a villain for having done that, killed off Edward's 2 young children, and then being defeated by Henry Tudor at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485, which ushered in a completely different era in English history. Various countries have ways of marking the transition between the Middle Ages and what is regarded more as the modern world. In England, it's that abrupt. It's 1485. If you study history in school, I think they still start most of the history that you learn at 1485. You do a kind of like quick course. You do the entire Middle Ages. You do 1,000 years in like 1 year in school, and then spend the rest of your school time studying English history from 1485 up to whatever point the course terminates. Somewhere in the 20th century, usually these days. So there's that. Pause for a drink because he's slightly lost the thread here. What we know about this era, oddly enough, although it's been the subject of some historical study, it's likely that most people get their ideas from Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote a series of history plays quite early in his career, in the 1590s. He's still a young, upcoming dramatist. And he wrote a series of history plays which took you through the whole 15th century in English history, and a period that was known as the Wars of the Roses. This is because it was a war for the succession. The Plantagenet, the last Norman Plantagenet monarch, Richard II, had been deposed by the king who became Henry IV. After that, there are claims, can you depose a king while he's alive? Can you replace him? Who actually has the right to be the king? And that sets up wars between 2 of the major factions in the British nobility throughout the 15th century, broadly described as the House of York and the House of Lancaster, each of which took a rose as their badge. The side of the Duke of York took the white rose. The side of the Duke of Lancaster took the red rose as symbols. Thanks, Steve. Hello, Christine. There she is. So we're now into the Wars of the Roses. Shakespeare covered this era in a series of plays, but Shakespeare's plays written during the reign of Henry, of the grand daughter of the man who defeated King Richard in battle. He was still writing in an era when this was not safe to write about. His play of Richard II caused all kinds of problems and was withdrawn from production. The other plays were written as very strong propaganda on which the Lancastrian side were the good people and the Yorkists were the bad people. This led to a complete distortion of the events of the life of Edward IV, who remains one of the most obscure of the relatively modern kings largely because of Shakespeare. Let's do a quick run here through Shakespeare's account. Edward first appeared as a major figure in the play Henry VI, Part 3, at the end of which Henry VI is killed by Richard, Duke of Gloucester, Edward's brother, and Edward becomes the king, and the play ends with going off to Edward's coronation. In 1471, Shakespeare's Richard III follows on immediately without a break. The first scene shows Richard standing by himself after the coronation, musing rather bitterly upon the state of affairs. I'm getting distracted by comments over here to the right. Distracting rather bitterly, the famous opening speech of Richard III starts with the wonderful sarcastic line, "Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York." It's Richard wants to be king, and he has to wait for his brother to go. He has to wait for his brother to get out of his way. Now, the play, Shakespeare's play, that's the beginning of Act 1, Scene 1. Within that scene, we also see Richard's older brother and Edward's younger brother, George, the Duke of Clarence, sent off to prison in the Tower of London, accused, possibly by Richard, of conspiring against Edward. By the end of the same first scene, we hear that the king is sickly, weak, and melancholy, and his physicians fear for him mightily. And Richard is left reflecting on how if Edward is very ill, Clarence must be got rid of because he stands between Richard and the throne. And that's the end of the very first scene of Richard III. By the end of Scene 3 of Act 1, Clarence has been murdered by two men hired by Richard, with the word, "Take that and that," as he stabs him. And if this will not do, I'll drown you in the Malmsey butt within. This is absolute propaganda. Clarence was imprisoned of treason but was executed privately, not murdered stealthily. Malmsey, let's refer to this, I'll drown you in the Malmsey butt within. A butt of Malmsey means a barrel of Malmsey wine. Malmsey is a fortified Madeira. You can still buy it today. You won't find it in your average supermarket. I believe you can get it through Waitrose, and you can get it in specialist wine shops in England, but it's still available. Very strong, very sweet, not at all fashionable, but still there. But this image of drowning the man, "Take that and that, and if this will not do, I'll drown you in the Malmsey butt," led to a wonderful scene in Laurence Olivier's film of Richard III, in which he was shown a body was being shown dumped into a huge barrel of wine, and the top being rammed down on the top of the barrel, and bright red, dark red wine streaming out down the side of the barrel. Tremendous image. All completely fake. All absolutely propaganda. In actual fact, Richard's coronation was in 1471. The death of Clarence, which was announced at the start of Richard III and carried out within a couple of scenes, actually took place 7 years later in 1478. Edward's health, which is referred to at the same time as being poorly and sickly, it began to fail only 4 years later. He died in 1482, and he died on April the 9th, 1483. He had 13 years of rule, which was peaceful, successful, and produced 2 heirs to the throne, which were later murdered by Richard in his bid to get to the throne himself. Shakespeare dealt with none of this because, quite simply, it wasn't good propaganda. It didn't look bad. Everything about the Yorkists had to be made to look bad for the Tudor audiences, most specifically the Tudor censors who were reading his plays and allowing them or not allowing them. So but Shakespeare's popularity means that that's the vision of English history that we have, and it's quite skewed. Edward IV is a much more interesting character with a much more interesting reign and a lot of significant cultural things happening in England at the time, not least the arrival of the printing press, an absolutely revolutionary too event. The printing it's akin to the internet, you know, it's a communications revolution that occurred in England later than everywhere else in Europe. Sort of poor old England, you know, it didn't. The rest of Europe was busy printing books long before Caxton. William Caxton introduced the press into England in the 1470s. There were lots of benefits of Edward's reign, but Shakespeare was not able or not willing or just not interested in containing them. He skipped right over Edward's reign in no time at all, and that's what we tend to know about it. Sad distortion of history, but that history is a matter of distortions and people doing all kinds of different things to put across their points of view. History is malleable. History is not fixed. Facts, unfortunately, are not fixed, and they're capable of all kinds of interpretations by different people. This is one of the fascinating things about history for me. Right, so it's 5 to 9, and let's get rid of all that. That's Edward, and I'm going to play another piece of music. Ricky, hey, yo! Right, okay, we've got a few people turning in now. Evelyn, Christine, yep, everyone's here. Yeah, Ricky, Mike's talking about Shakespeare. Yes, he is talking. Ricky, are you interested in Shakespeare? Don't admit to that. I'll bore you to death about Shakespeare for ages. Anyway, here I am, yep, and everyone busy saying evening. That's cool. Right, bit of music. Now, I'd hoped, with all that's been going on in my life the last week or so, I had been hoping to put together an arrangement of a 15th century piece by an English composer written in the reign of Edward IV. But although I've written it out, it's incredibly complicated. It's really tricky with a lot of cross rhythms, and I've made a couple of attempts and not really got it satisfactory. So something for the future, something that I will do in the future. So instead, I'm relying on an absolutely outrageous pun here. I've just been talking about the Wars of the Roses. I've also referred to George the Duke of Clarence being drowned in a butt of Malmsey wine. So we've got wine, we've got roses, and some of you out there will be wincing already, I'm sure, as I get the correct file together in my usual didn't quite have it ready fashion for going up again, right? Yep. So we got a man being drowned in a barrel of wine. We've got the Wars of the Roses. So here, completely unconnected except by use of the words, is Henry Mancini's Days of Wine and Roses. There's a little intro.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Excuse me. That was Days of Wine and Roses, which doesn't really have anything to do with the Wars of the Roses in the English 15th century. But hey, Hugh knew it as the Beast. Andy Williams is Can't Get Used to Losing You. I don't know. I remember it vividly. In fact, I remember references to the movie when I was a kid, which, if I'm correct, it's a Billy Wilder movie about alcoholism. It's certainly not a very cheerful kind of thing. Yep. I'm not sure where I first came across it, but it's a lovely, lovely song. And here we are, it's 9:05, and I've sort of run out of things. For those of you who've only just arrived, here is The Hat, insisted upon by Nadia Friedrich, BB, my good friend BB, down by Frankfurt in Germany, who said I should wear a hat because the hat is a statement, whereas the hair is just funny. This is the hair that she was objecting to. It's currently It was a special birthday colour job that I did last week, so the blue hair. Put the hat back on. I do feel more comfortable in the hat, it has to be said. The drinking utensil for today has been a Marvel Comics, classic 1960s Marvel Comics. There's Captain America by Jim Steranko. 1960s Marvel Comics covers, which wonderful period for that kind of thing. And it contains orange squash. Be very careful about my drinks at the moment. Orange squash. I've also been I've been in the wars a bit, but for more details on that, you can. I'm not going. Oh, sorry. Whoops. Excuse me. It's blow my nose. It's terrible. I have coughs, I have snots, but the tests tell me that it isn't COVID, so happy days. We have 3 people here at least who have COVID ongoing, and I'm very sorry to hear it once again. I hope that all works out as well as it possibly can, and as soon as it possibly can. Where was I? I had another Batman item, but this is all that's left of it. It was in fact a Batman ice cream. Here's the wrapper, and if you I've eaten this because it was melting by the time I opened it, so I disposed of it very quickly at the start of the stream. If you inspect the top, you will see, yes, it is a Batman. There is actually a Batman logo on either end of the lolly stick. The other one's covered. Hang on. There you go. Yep. So that was today's Batman item. Always accepting, of course, the classic Coast City Comics T-shirt from Portland in Maine. What else have we had? There was lots of stuff about Pachelbel, about how Pachelbel's canon, a once completely unknown piece of music written probably in the late 17th century, became the basis of lots and lots of pop songs, and that is why all these taster tracks that I've been putting up, Green Day, Pet Shop Boys, The Farm, and so on, Maroon 5, they're all used the chord sequence of Pachelbel's canon, which became a hit in an arrangement by French bandleader Jean-François Paillard in 1967, and has since been used in countless pop songs, also including Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis, with which I started off the whole thing. But that's it. That's enough for recaps, I think. I've managed to make it through this. There was a distinct possibility I was going to have to get off to the toilet during the middle of it, but no. Restrained myself, and you don't really want to know the details of that anyway. I did also comment earlier that I'm in 2 minds about what to do next. I set these streams up 2 years ago for my birthday, and then I carried them on because people seemed to think it was a good idea, and we were all locked down. We were in lockdown. We were all stuck in our houses. Was the ice cream less sugar than cakes? No, absolutely. It was disgusting. I've eaten it because it was all part of tonight's performance, but I'm not going to eat any more of it. I'll give the remaining ones away to some small child that I can addict on sugar. A terrible thing to do. Or maybe some small adults who will, I know a few small adults who will quite happily have anything to do with ice cream, so that's a possibility as well. The streams, I kept them going because we were all locked down, we were in our houses, and I thought, well, there's maybe a need for a different kind of entertainment. But now, although obviously we're all still working our way around potential COVID attacks and precautions and so on, everything's being the politicians have put everything back to normal, more or less. So people aren't locked up in their houses, people aren't needing to see these things, and I'd see no reason to carry on doing streams because I'm not fundamentally interested in video or streaming or anything like that. I did it because the occasion seemed to call for it, and now the occasion doesn't seem to call for it. Consequently, this may be the last of the Mike's Monday streams. If anybody violently disagrees with that, do let me know. Post into the Mike's Monday Streams page and argue with me vehemently, or alternatively agree with me and say, yeah, you know what, mate, it's run its course. Let's do something else, which I'd be quite happy to do, and probably wouldn't involve you seeing me staring at the screen above the camera. So I'm not looking at you, I'm looking, unless I remember. It's the attraction of the moving screen. You have to look at it and see what's going on, even if it is, in fact, your own face talking away. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. This might be it. This could be the last. This could be the last time. Right, everybody. And yeah, I think everyone's gone. They've gone again. Right, okay, not a problem. And I shall go too. So thanks to Phil and BB and Hugh and everybody else who was here. Great to see you. I hope everyone's okay. And we'll speak soon, one way or another. For those of you who I know aren't okay, then best of luck, and I hope you're out of the woods very soon. I hope the same for myself as well. My French is very posh. It's probably because it's schoolboy French. Evelyn, I'm going away now. I'm going to go and get some food and get myself fed up. And hopefully it'll stay in me this time, which it wasn't doing before. But again, you don't need to know about all of that. My French is posh, Christine, probably because I learned schoolboy French for 5 years, and that's the way they taught us. I know it's England. They taught us BBC. They taught us BBC English as well. Right, okay. Thank you, Hugh. We'll talk soon. Mally's still here, but I'm not going to be because I need some food. Mally, I'm glad you were here. Didn't know you were here, quietly in the background. Hope everything's well with you, mate. And good night, everybody. Take care. I'm off to investigate what's left in the fridge. All right. Take care now. Bye-bye.